Welcome everyone to a awesome little video from Twisted Dice. Today we're going to talk about everything fluff. Fluff. And not only are we talking fluff, but we're talking about the main Clone Lord himself, Mr. Fabius Bile. And today, to join me on this epic little adventure, we've got Grant, who's going to come and join us on this awesome little journey. Now, Grant, you love Fabius, right?
I do. I've got a little bit of a soft spot for him. I think he's great.
I think I think Fabius is one of those bad boys that everyone loves. He's got that soft spot for everyone. And I think Fabius is a bad man. But he's such a cool bad man, right?
I wouldn't say he's bad. If you look, I mean, obviously this is why we're doing the fluff today. I think a lot of people look past what he actually is doing, which obviously we're going to go through very shortly, but he hasn't chosen a Chaos Lord, so not bad.
No, look, on that side of things, you're right. He hasn't gone down, he hasn't dedicated himself to no Chaos Gods. He hasn't bowed down to any of them.
Nope, not a single
Even
one.
though he's got the colours of Slaanesh, like the rest of his army went down that whole route of Slaanesh.
He's followed the Legion, isn't he? That's the thing. He's followed the Legion because he is very Legion orientated, or was. And he's followed that, and he's followed them, and stayed with them. And the Legion itself, he developed a name. So he's got two names, isn't he? Well, three names. So starts off as what was it you said it was earlier? It was the Manflayer, wasn't it?
The Manflayer.
The Manflayer. So obviously we're going to touch on why he's got that name, but he also had the name the Spider and the Clone Lord.
Oh yes, and of course, most of the Emperor's children don't like Fabius,
No.
which is absolutely bonkers. Like, how can you not love Fabius? But look, that's something we're gonna delve into. Look, if you're watching this, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please hit that like. In fact, do it now. Hit the bell. It should be somewhere around about there. And don't forget to hit the bell, because when you hit the bell, it's going to notify you of any cool content that's coming out from Twisted Dice. Plus, we appreciate it, and you guys and girls are absolutely awesome. Just for watching this, you're awesome, so thank you very much. Let's get back to the fluff, Grant. Let's talk about Fabius. Fabius!
Yeah. So, I mean, again, so just going back to, obviously he is the chief apothecary for the Emperor's Children.
I suppose let's bring it back. So, Heresy, he was the lead apothecary, wasn't he?
He was. And do you know what for the chapter?
Say that again.
Do you know what he done for the chapter?
Speak to me. Enlighten us all, because we're very all on edge and looking forward to this one.
Pre-Heresy, he saved the chapter. The chapter was near on dead. I think it was 300 of them left after the problem in their gene seed basically just killed off the entire Legion. And then it was gifted. The Legion was gifted to Fulgrim. So Fulgrim was gifted the Legion, but it was a dying Legion. And it was Fabius Bile single-handedly found the cure, and that's how he got the name the Manflayer, because he tore open, living Emperor's children, because he had to find the problem. And then he run the whole chapter from sort of 300 warriors that were left to being one of the best legions, because they are an underrated legion that people always look past because they don't have a main book or anything. But in the realities of fluff and narrative, they are one of the strongest legions. That they thrive for perfection, and Fabius Bile is a key in that. He thrives to be the best apothecary. He wants to know everything, and he's done that. And he saved the Legion, and they all hate him for saving the Legion, which makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make no sense at all, right? And do you know what? I wasn't aware of that part.
Were you not?
No, I wasn't. You got me on that one. I was not aware of that part at all, and that's absolutely friggin' awesome to learn something new on that. So that's really, really cool. But the Emperor's children are the only ones that the Emperor allowed them to wear the eagle on their armor.
So it was, yeah. I actually had that written down as well, because I didn't know if you knew that.
No, I knew that one. I 100% hands down knew that one. But yeah, they're the only legion that had would have that on their sigil, which is friggin' absolutely awesome, right?
Well, it's huge. I mean, it just again, it goes to show how much they were the Emperor's children. They were his, they were a very strong legion. And again, in my notes, I mean, we're only going to touch slightly on the Emperor's children because obviously we don't want to. This is about Fabius Bile rather than the Emperor's children themselves, but. It was in the book Fulgrim and the Palatine's Phoenix. Him. I'm sure it was in that book. It's been a while since I read it. I'm sure it was him and 7 of his children went down to the planet and they conquered an entire planet with just seven soldiers, 7 warriors, including obviously Fulgrim on top. So obviously he was a beast himself, but Fabius Bile was part of that 7 that went down to the planet.
And that's absolutely bonkers. Like,
to take over a whole
but
planet.
the Phoenician himself he's just a beast on its own. But look, that's something that me and you, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this because like there's some really really cool stuff that we can talk a lot about the Phoenician himself, and we're going to talk about that that beautiful beast that he is, that beautiful Fulgrim. But that's something to talk about. We're going to touch a little bit more on him in a little bit. But that's something we're definitely going to come back to him because I can see, or I'm praying that Games Workshop does something around that, and we'll explain in a little bit in regards to it. That's the main thing, and I think that's where we stop on that part. Let's talk about the baddest apothecary there is going.
Okay. Well, again, so I mean, in fluff wise, there is a lot about him. So I mean, obviously there is a few books that have come out that I've listened to because I do a lot of driving, so I listen to the audio books, which is so much better. You don't have to sit there, drive along, listen away to it. So I do recommend it. It's great. You get the old audible and just listen away. It's good fun. But I mean, in the books, I mean, it goes on about how he. So after they've gone into the Eye of Terror, that he's actually created the Primarchs. Recreate the Primarchs, and even pre going into the Eye of Terror as well. But I don't know if you want to talk about that now, or do you want to go?
No, we can touch on that now because I think that's that. This is one of the things that Fabius is known for is being the Clone Lord.
And he is the clone. But you know what the name of the Clone Lord as well? So it's not just cloning the Primarchs.
It's also about himself as well.
Yes. So this is in one of the books we'll touch on later, but I'll give a brief now. So in the book, it does describe. So this is actually the book, The Clone Lord. So all around the galaxy, he has little mini laboratories set up on planets that just are completely remote, or it could be in a built-up city. It doesn't matter. He has little labs put everywhere, and in those labs he has stacks of clones of himself. So all that happens is he pushes a little button on his armor, and it's almost like hitting Wi-Fi, and everything that's in his head gets uploaded to his cloud. While he's on his ship, it's constantly updated at all times. But as soon as he comes off the ship, he has to push the button, and when he pushes it, it updates everything that he's seen. So he theoretically does die because each clone that he makes after dies a lot quicker than the last, and the body itself, because he's not cured the disease in himself quite, he still deteriorates. So he pushes the button, then that body dies, and then it takes a few days for the upload to be done, and then they have to remake the new clone, and then they call that out, and he has a group of apothecaries on his ship that will bring him back to life.
But see, this is the beautiful thing about it, because like we talk about that, yes, he does die, but in one of the books it does explain that as he's going from one body to another, it does talk about he is aware that he is being.
So inevitably the one in that body is not uploading your entire. It's making a perfect copy of himself, so he just constantly keeps going. So theoretically, the original Fabius Bile is technically dead, but there is a perfect copy constantly all the way across. As I said, the bodies are getting weaker, so each time that he does this, this, the body doesn't last as long as the last one did, and he feels.
Is it like a cancer or something that he's?
So it's something in the gene seed. So there's a problem with the gene seed. There was the Emperor was so powerful and so good. He obviously wasn't that good that all of the legions seem to have a problem with the gene seed. I mean, look at Space Wolves. There you have Wolven. You look at Blood Angels. They've got Black Rage. Is it?
Vampires, basically.
Yeah. You know, they've all. Everyone seems to have an issue with their gene seed. So that this is just their problem. Their bodies just. It was almost like a plague hit the whole legion, and he was one of them. And he's never properly cured it himself. Although he's cured it in the new gene seed that's to follow, he's never been able to cure it himself, which is weird because he's making a new clone each time. So you would have thought it was just a new gene seed and job done. But
yeah, that would kind of make sense that he would sort himself out before anything else, but it doesn't quite work like that.
No.
Okay. But then it makes me think about the 300 that survived. Are they still about?
I don't know if any of those are still alive to sort of like in stories to this date. But in the book with the Phoenician, as I've said, with the Palatine Phoenix, there's a couple of them in that, and although they still respect Fabius Bile, but at the same time they hate him at the same time because of what he did to the rest of the Legion. So that is quite an intense book. Now, I don't want to ruin the book for people, so do listen to it. And it does explain exactly how he goes about doing things, and it's really interesting, to be honest.
The thing is about the books, like even though we touch upon it, we talk about it. Being the Hobbit as it is, you'll never get away with the story of, because people are always excited about the books, and people that do read the content are really, really excited. And I've been down at Budman's a couple of times, and people are like, oh, did you know about this, about Angron, and when he was this, he was that, and Horus and that, and like, if I'm going to be honest, that's what makes me.
Well, like based on Spartacus.
Well, kind of it, but that's what kind of makes me excited about listening to the book itself. Like, or I might have listened to the book and I might have missed something because, like yourself, I do a lot of driving myself for my job, and as I'm commuting back and forth, when I'm paying attention to the road, something might happen, and I might miss a part of the audiobook, and I'd miss that. But then when I'm in those conversations, like when I'm down the club and we're talking and we're chatting about something cool, and like we both listen to the same audiobook, I would say something, you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that, and like you'll say something like, oh, I didn't know that, like just about the Manflayer thing. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. But we both listened to the audiobook, and this is the cool thing about it. So even though we talk about it now, I guarantee that you will listen to that audiobook and you'll go away and think, right, okay, yep. I get what they're saying now. It totally makes sense.
How many times have you watched a movie a second time round and go, oh, I didn't see that the first time?
Well, this is the beautiful thing about it, isn't it? Like when you watch a really good film, which got a lot of story and character to it, if you watch it again, you're like, right. Yeah,
it makes sense now. Yeah,
it makes sense now. It totally makes sense. I'm just trying to think of a film that I can reference back to, and there's just nothing there.
Oh, you look at The Hobbit. Compared, like Lord of the Rings, in Lord of the Rings, you've got the trolls that turn to stone, and then in The Hobbit, they actually see those same trolls that are turned to stone. Sorry, well, they turn to stone in The Hobbit, but in Lord of the Rings, you see them as the stone in that.
I'm gonna say that.
That's Lord of the Rings.
Never.
Supposed to be talking.
I never really watched it. I did, but I didn't really pay attention to it. If that made sense.
I thought you were awesome.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I used to paint a lot, and it would be more background noise. So, content on TV, that's not really my thing. I like to. There's only a couple of programs that capture my full attention, and unfortunately, that just wasn't one of them. But audiobooks, that's my thing. I love listening to audiobooks as I'm doing it. But again, it's this little path that we're leading down, and we're just like. Going away, slowly going away, sliding away. But look, now we're talking about like the cloning side of things, and the naughtiest he's up to, and we know at the moment, Fulgrim himself is. Let's save that bit because I'm about to we're going to jump too far ahead, and we've still got so much cool stuff to talk about. Around about the heresy time when all the stuff's happened. You've got Fulgrim. spoiler alert, he takes Ferrus Manus' head off, clean off, like brother to brother, like.
They weren't just brothers though; they were like best brothers.
Mate, they were like bomb, bam, that whatever that fisty move does. That is my poor attempt of being my street cred's gone right down. But like that's the thing, right? It's like they were the two Primarchs that really like. Yeah, because like Ferrus Manus made the hammer. Ferrus Manus made the sword for Fulgrim. Fulgrim made the hammer for Ferrus Manus, because on like Ferrus Manus's hammer, you've got that beautiful like eagle on his hammer, or the decoration on it. It's very Emperor's Children, and you got two brothers that really did really love each other in a
compared to the rest of them. I mean, you look at there's so much hate between so much of the brothers. I mean, you look at Death Guard, gone blank.
Really, Mortarion.
I didn't know. It just left my head. So you got like Mortarion, absolutely hates Magnus. Pure hate.
Which is something we can definitely talk about another time, because there's so much cool stuff we can talk about with old Mortarion himself, Mr. I don't like strikers, but I'm now a striker. What? Sorry, dude. What's that? You don't like psychers, but now you're a psyker? That's kind of like calling the. It's like the kettle calling the pot black. Like, what? How does that work out? Jesus Christ, that's just like bonkers. But like, this is the beautiful thing with Fulgrim, not Fulgrim, so Fabius Bile. The whole thing with the cloning side is the fact that at one point he's had of all the DNA for all the Primarchs.
Oh yes.
See, now this is the cool thing. I think that if Games Workshop were clever, they could bring back the dead Primarchs.
Well, they could, but theoretically, again, we're kind of touching on what there's part of later. But yes, theoretically they could, and it's all down to Fabius Bile.
Oh, but this is the thing, because at one point he's cloned all the Primarchs. All the Primarchs have been cloned by him, and like, and
stasis.
And like the biggest thing he done for Fulgrim was he cloned Ferrus Manus, and this is the thing. This is the thing that drove Fulgrim crazy. It was just the fact that he kept on cloning him, and Fulgrim was trying to change him over, and he just couldn't do it, and it was just driving Fulgrim even more, shit that crazy. Like, you're not converting me. It's not happening. It's like
He cloned him. He just kept saying no. It would never turn to the force of chaos. And as you say, it turned Fulgrim himself. It turned him crazy. Turned him to. It turned him mad, absolutely mad. And then what he then did was give his whole body over to the forces of chaos, because it's not written, but there's speculation that what he's done is that his body is now controlled by a demon prince.
Yeah.
And he's almost locked in a cage in his own mind, because he's just completely, because he's that loss of his brother, and he cannot get his brother back. He's just
you probably got, obviously Fabius is probably just chuckling in the background. Can't convince his brother to join sides.
Fabius Bile was revered, in Fulgrim's eyes. There was no one more dedicated to the Legion than Fabius.
But you're right, and like one of the things that Fulgrim liked about Fabius was the ability that he enhanced the troops. So you got Eidolon, for instance, prime example. Well, this is the thing. So Eidolon is a very prime example that he enhances. Eidolons have that ability to do that screech. And like this is something we're going to talk about hopefully in a couple of videos' time, about this epic battle that something happens and another Lucius sees and gets excited, like, okay, something cool going on there, right? What's going on there? But he just has that he just done so much cool work for the Emperor's Children. In a way, it was kind of cool. It kind of helped the Emperor's Children get to the new heights that they desired.
what they perceive as perfection.
But this is it. So we're gonna talk about as if we are like that's our legion. So like, you know, he helped the legion, you know, to get to new heights, the perfection of all perfection, and it's just like friggin' awesome, and that's crazy. But like, you know, you got things like that. Mate, the best one is the one I love is the fact that, of course, Eidolon upsets Fulgrim and he loses his head.
Yeah.
Clean off, like boom, gone. You were my top dog. Like we can talk about Eidolon another time because I'm not really a big fan of Eidolon. But what I love about Fabius is he's got his head on the bloody shelf, hasn't he? And he's talking to him like, "Shut up, brother! You keep winding me up. I'm gonna stick your head on like back to front or some crazy like bad stuff." And like the you can see that obviously the demented side of Fabius comes out because like he's stuck his head back onto his body and he's just like, but he's constantly putting him in pain. So Eidolon's constantly in agony, and it's like it helps him. Like, but he's cool with that. He's like he's getting off with it like in a weird way. He's like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good stuff. Like it's just crazy, absolutely bonkers. You know, you know, something we hadn't touched upon is like the knife that fell Horus ended up in Fabius's hands.
And what, was that in a book? Was it just in? I didn't know that one.
So you got the so when Horus was fallen,
Yeah.
He was taken down by the Anathane blade. Just like one of his normal captains, you just basically mention the person, the name, and into the blade, and it will help you wield to strike down your foe.
Right. Okay.
Awesome blade. But that I can't remember which book it was, but it was one of the Horse Rising or Galaxy of Flames. You basically the blade is Horus gives the blade to Fulgrim, and you just pretty much see. Well, you don't see, but you. In my head, you see you see Fulgrim walk and Fabius walking away with the Anathane blade in its box, and that's just like you know that's going into the wrong hands.
The thing is, Fabius has actually got sort of countless relics. I mean, his backpack alone is a huge relic that he created himself, and that's given him the name the Spider.
And this is the thing, like what's it called? It was the I've forgotten the name of the backpack.
I've got the name of it now as well. I don't know what I've got it written down somewhere. I'll find it in a minute. But he made it
Chirurgeon. Is it
Chirurgeon?
I'm pretty sure it's the oh God's sake, my notes are just like vanished on me. I'm pretty sure it's the Chirurgeon on his backpack, and it's kind of like it's got its own.
It's a lot.
Oh yeah,
it thrives to be with him every time. It yearns. I think in one of the books, actually, the description is it yearns to be with its master, which is obviously Fabius. And when it's not with him, it's almost in pain because it wants to be back with him where it belongs.
The Chirurgeon, that's it. I was right. The possessor of the darkening sentence of its own. Complex part of the source part technology device attached to Fabius's spine.
Yeah. Directly to his spine.
But
sounds
like,
fun, doesn't it?
It does, but like there's times where it talks about Fabius has woken up, and like he believes that the thing itself is kind of like gone off and done its own little experiment work in the lavatory on its own. And I don't think it's like got off its back and like gone, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like that thing out of Aliens, just like scuttling off down the hallway. Because I can't remember which book it was, but it explains like, okay, yep, something's not right here. This is just absolutely bonkers.
I think it's the first Fabius book, which is called it's before the Clone Lord. It's the Progenitor. I think it's called. It actually goes on when he's in that. His backpack is almost not telling him, but making him feel like what he needs to do.
Yes.
So it's talking to him through the only way to, I suppose, nerves. So it's making him feel like he needs to do it rather than actually physically talking.
Well, it is attached to his spine, so I suppose like that's your central, your central nervous system, right?
Yeah.
And that's just
Even more.
yeah, that's just like there's some cool stuff with it, and that's like its own self defense mechanism on itself, and the fact like if he gets into a fight with a space marine. Space Marines are powerful things. They're getting into a fight with it. If Fabius has got his hands around the Space Marine's throat, but he can't quite get there, his, cryogen is just going to straight into the side, drill straight into the side of the face.
Sure, it does in one of the books. I think it might even be that one I've already mentioned, the Fulgrim in the Palatine Phoenix. I'm sure in that one because it gets damaged as well. I think.
Yes.
I can't remember that one or the second one, but it actually gets damaged and he feels its pain where it's damaged.
Yes, it's such a cool bit of war gear. Like, and every apothecary, in my eyes, should have that bit of kit. And
imagine that, bringing 3 guys back from the dead.
Mate, boom! He is the top dog of apothecaries. But like the beautiful thing with this dude is just like he's just a badass of all apothecaries. Like he is the proper top dog, and like he is so good that even like the Abaddon wants Fabius to work. He wants him to do work for him, like to bring back the dead. Bring back not bring back the dead, but to bolster, bring back the legions back to population again, which is crazy.
But he keeps turning them down, just like Abaddon keeps turning down all the Chaos Gods.
And that's good.
Because that's one thing with Fabius Bile as well. He doesn't. So in the first book with him, so his first solo book, it goes on about his his apothecarium, which is on his planet that he's got hidden. That all apothecaries are welcome, but if you come, you basically leave all your Legion rivalries behind. It doesn't matter whether you're Nurgle, whether you're Sanesh, whether you're Jahiz, or whether you don't follow anything. You come there, you're there to study under his rule, and if you don't like it, you go.
Yes.
Die. Or be tested on.
And this is the beautiful thing about this. This is the place that all the Chaos Apothecaries, strive to get there. That's where they want to be, like, working alongside him. But, like, again, this is like, because the guy he's such a clever beast on his own, isn't he? So he's got the World Bearers. Is it World Bearers Apothecary? No, I can't. No, he's got one of the He's got one of the World Bearers traps.
No, he's got the World Eaters. He's got
the Apothecary. He's got one of the World Eaters because he uses him to summon
2 of the Word Bearers. Word Bearers. He's got 2 different ones.
But he's got the bomb planted in his chest, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he can't do anything.
That's just crazy. Like if that guy decides that he's going to turn ship and go like, yeah, forget it. It's like you go against me. Guess what? 1, I'm coming back. 2, guess what? Boom, you're gone, mate. You try muck around, try to get out of your chest. Boom, you're gone. Like, it's just like game over. And he's just like,
it goes on about that in the book, but it's quite a funny one with that because although he hates Fabius for putting it in there, he also does everything to save Fabius because obviously I don't even think that it's out of fear that he's going to blow himself up. It's just because in a lot of ways, he has a lot of unwielding loyalty to Fabius, just as like many of the crew. A lot of the crew aren't necessarily loyal to him. They're loyal to what he knows and what he can bring. Like, in some of the books he has, believe it or not, Nurgle Apothecary, which is kind of seems pointless, but there is a Nurgle Apothecary that on his ship. Now, this is in the book The Clone Lords. Now, he keeps him on the ship, and it actually says in the book, they directly ask him, why do you have this horrible smelling putrid thing on your ship that's actually corroding the ship away? His whole floor is starting to corrode because of Nurgle's plague.
The plot of Nurgle, rotten Nurgle.
Not a rotten Nurgle. And, and Fabius's words are, he can get more out of him through the plagues that he creates than what he would not by having him. it outweighs that, and not only that, he's loyal to Fabius as well. I forget his name though. I have to pull it up because he's quite a cool character. He's the one that actually in the book he brings Fabius back, and Fabius has a go at him for touching his corpse or touching his new clone with those Nurgle-ridden fingers, sort of thing.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, of all people to wake you up, it's like the guy that's wiped his bum, like with no bog roll, and like being the moment with the horrible COVID-19. We had that thing with the toilet roll run out, and it's kind of like that guy that's like gone to the toilet. You know you've got no bog roll. He's gone in there. He's had a massive, great stinker, and he's just come out, and you can just see it clinging on his hands, and he just passed you a cup of tea. You just don't want to touch that cup of tea.
And sugar in it first to mix the sugar.
picks the tea bag out of his fingers. There you go, mate. Have that. Enjoy that, mate. It's all good, isn't it, mate? But yeah, so you can kind of see, like, if I was full grown, I'd be like, great. Before I do anything, I've got to have a bath. I've got to clean myself because your dirty fingers, your dirty, grimy fingers have been all over my bits, you dirty old such and such. And it's like, okay. But like, I suppose like the other thing, he doesn't know that, you know, because obviously he is a chaos apothecary, as in like for the Nurgle, is there any possibility that that apothecary could have done something sneaky to like try to convert him over to Nurgle? Not that I think he would, but like,
no, he doesn't.
He doesn't. You're right. He doesn't. But yeah.
So because there might, you know, he follows the god of Nurgle, but he's not, you know, he's not Death Legion or anything like that. So he's not. His loyalties are still to Fabius because he, in turn, learns more from Fabius than what he would ever learn by himself. So you know, it's not relationship as such, but a mutual beneficial for them both to be loyal to each other in the
friends
sense.
with benefits.
Sure.
Well, that's pretty much it, right? It is friends with benefits in a way. Like you scratch my back and I scratch yours. Now, if you're thinking of something else, mate, you got a one-track mind.
Yeah.
You need to stop that. You need to go see someone.
Yeah. Yeah. On the next note, but I mean, you know, going back to Fabius himself, you know, again, another thing that he has done is created multiple different species.
Oh yeah. But like, before we touch on that one, let's go back. Let's go back to the heresy.
Okay.
And like, there's bits where he's captured Space Marine, specifically like Ultramarine, different fractions, different chapters, and like there's one of the books you in the heresy that Fabius Bile's got hold of him. Oh, that's it. That's where the chirurgeon comes in, because the Space Marine manages to fight off and get to Fabius, but the chirurgeon's like clicks him.
What marine? It's not an Ultramarine, is it? It was
No, it's an Ultramarine.
There was another one that he gets a sub chapter. Obviously, this would be after heresy.
Yeah, this is an Ultramarine because he's got him locked away in the cage and he's done all the experiments on him, and like he can the Ultramarine still got conscious. He knows what's happening to him, and he's trying not to like give in and like eat the gruel that Fabius is pumping into him. Like he's trying to fight it, and then like he can see all his brothers, and I think it's one of the Imperial Fists that you can see the heraldry, and he's like, oh, okay, this is not cool. And then like Fabius has released his new work, his new toys on the legions, onto the Ultramarines, and the Ultramarines are being hammered by these mutations that Fabius is. I suppose like they're kind of like the first mutants, the first spawns, I suppose, in a way. In my head, they're like the possessed. No, it wouldn't be possessed, but similar to the possessed. So like they're the original.
They're more mutants. They're not demons, are they?
No, they're not demons. But like, if you like think how the possessed models look like.
Yeah.
Like with the big. Do you know what? I suppose Resident Evil. Like the Nemesis, like how he's getting bigger and like mutated, like eye popping out of the arm, like, like a hot date on a Friday night. Anyway,
Too much Resident Evil.
mate, yeah, like 4 days flat, boom. But that's how I imagine it. It's be something like that type of a creation that just malformed, mutated, and then you've got this poor Ultramarine. He's like, you can see he can't stop himself from doing it. He's trying to tell his brothers that it's me. Don't fight. Like it's me. It's me. But all they can see in their eyes is just a abomination. A creation of chaos. And they're like hammering, and he's attacking back, and he can't do nothing about it because Fabius is like warped this guy's head, and this is how clever Fabius is. Like he can turn a Marine against a Marine just by like his pure genetics, and that's like, boom, you are the top dog, man. Like boom, that's awesome. That's friggin' awesome. And you're right, like, and like, let's go back to what you're saying about like it creating its own subspecies. Like that on its own is like, I love his little pets.
But the things that aren't, they're kind of, the way it's described is they're almost like rats, aren't they? Like the giant rats that wander around his ships and stuff. But when he created them, so again in the books it sort of goes on about how they're wandering around his ship, etc., etc. But they've actually developed their own form of communication and social structure that he didn't expect. And he goes on about that although he created them, he's now studying them to see where they go and what they do. And they're still loyal to him because they still recognize him as their creator. But I mean, that's not his greatest creation, though, is it? Do you know what his one is?
Go for it. Tell us.
Other than obviously the Primarchs are one thing, but his new race of humans. Did you know that?
Yes.
You did know that. Okay,
I knew about the new creation. Yeah, because that's what he's striving for, right? That's his aim. That's his end goal. Is like he wants to create the perfect human.
Yeah, well, this is what goes to bear. Is he chaos? That's the question, because I don't see that he is, because he only followed the Legion. He has taken no god. He has stayed impartial. He will do no tests on a Chaos Marine that he wouldn't do on a normal Ultramarine, say. He is, in his eyes, the Imperium has fallen, the Emperor has failed, and it's for that reason that he feels that mankind is over and mankind will implode on itself, in a manner of speaking. And what will rise from the ashes will be his new humans, his new superhumans that are faster, stronger, a mini Marine, basically, but without having to have the augmentations that a normal Space Marine has and still holds its humanity.
And this is the beautiful thing about it. It's like it talks about, doesn't it, the creations of, like, I can't remember the name of her, but like he pretty much says, like, what's the name?
I can't remember her name now. But the one with superhuman, it's like the first one. She's like old as anything, sort of thing, and he doesn't. He sees her as like a daughter, even though he's dying of old age and he's not, sort of thing. Still, but even she sees that her time. This is in the book, the Clone Lord. She sees that her time is almost at an end because the newer, younger ones that he's not bred out of a tube, that have been bred naturally, over the course of a couple of generations, are stronger, faster, smarter than what the original ones that he created were. And that's huge, because in the matter of I think it's like 2, maybe 3 generations of the humans, they're already greater than what the humanity is at this time, and he's put pockets of those around the galaxy, and then they are his children, they are his greatest and prized work, but even they aren't complete. He's not happy that they're not complete. He's still trying to do things to make them better, and
that's mental.
Well, in the book he says as soon as his work is complete, that's it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that he's going to disappear. He doesn't care about himself. He knows his time's at an end, but he needs to know that his work's complete for him to then finally go to rest.
But like the other thing he talks about, like he takes a couple of them away, doesn't he? Like an experiment on and like enhances them, puts them back into the population a couple of generations later, and he just sees how that manipulation has like improved that that form or even more, making them even stronger, faster. And like he talks about one of his little things like don't he says that I can't remember the what was the chaos one, the bad guy that not bad, they're all bad, but the one that's come back to Fabius, and he's like, I don't know if you're welcome here, and he's like hunting them. He's like, yeah, I won't muck around with that one. Like she will.
That's in the Clone Lord as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because like she's got a necklace of Space Marines teeth, hasn't she?
Yeah, because that's what they're designed to do. They were made to kill Marines. In the book, it states how they do it. They basically overwhelm with numbers, pin them down, and actually just strike. They know where to hit to kill the Marines, exactly the pinpoint location. But yeah,
I don't think it needs many of them though, does it?
Well, I think let's not say that. I don't know, like 10 sort of thing. It's not many, but it's how they do it because they're like little ninjas. The better. They've got like these little daggers and stuff that just they know exactly where to hit to kill a Marine. But yeah, you're right. In the book, it does actually state that you wouldn't want to mess with them because she'll just rip any Chaos Marine on the ship. They're actually scared of these new humans. The new ones in the book, you'll see that there's a whole new regiment that comes onto his ship, and they're sort of like trying to. They see the humans as nothing, and then
playthings.
They just playthings.
Playthings, toys, like something to amuse themselves with.
Yeah, and as it goes along, how many of them die to those humans is insane. But again, I don't want to go too much on that because otherwise we're going to hit the Primarch.
Drop some comments down below. Like let us know what you think. First of all, is Fulgrim a good guy or a bad guy? Drop some comments down below. If you know what we're talking about with the, if you have listened to the audiobooks or you read the books, what's your thoughts on the actual, his little progeny of coolness that he's created? Let us know what you think upon it because I think it's absolutely awesome, and I just think he's just an absolute ledge. Out front, absolute ledge.
It's not Fulgrim, by the way. It's Fabius.
Fabius, sorry. What did I say? I might as well just start calling him the Phoenician, but he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
So the spider.
Well, he hates the name the Spider. Hates it. Being called the Spider, it now angers him when they call him the Spider. It angers him, and they still do it even in the Clone Lord book. They start calling him it, and it enrages him to the point where.
Do you know? And I'm guessing you do know, but like there is a specific race that keeps taunting Fabius.
Isn't it the Word Bearers?
No, a race.
Oh, race. Oh, Dark Elder.
Yeah, Harlequins.
Oh, wait, it's all the same difference. Yeah.
All got pointed ears.
They're following him around. They're always popping up. There's another whole book of that. I think that's the first book where he's traveling around. Yeah, they're basically following him and just sort of like playing their game because that's what they do.
What do they call him? They call him the Lord of Feathers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The Lord of Feathers, and they keep taunting him like you've got a, you still got a major part to play, and they torment him, they tease him, they just reappear, and there's nothing Fabius can do about it. Like, don't get me wrong, he kicks their butt. Well, I say kick their butt.
No, it comes away in one. I'm sure it's the Clone Lord, isn't it? Where he runs away at the start, he has to run away because that's where he's looting the Necron tomb world. Or is it? No, it's the Elder, isn't it? The old Elder craft world, I think, at the start.
That's it.
And then they basically they let him go. I think he cuts off half the men of the Emperor's children. He blows up the stairs and leaves half them down there to basically fight him off and die, so that way him and the other half can get away. I don't think it's the start. Might be halfway through the book. Actually, I think it does that. But yeah, they again, yeah, you're right. They're all tormenting him, and they're a weird race themselves. I mean,
sing a little song and do a little dance to celebrate. Hey, look at me! You're gonna be this. We're gonna have a little song, have a little dance, like a little pander around. and it torments him. It winds him up. It like
Yeah.
proper does his nutting. But like they've got a story to tell. But he does catch him out one time, doesn't he?
He does in that book. He catches them out. He outsmarts them.
And that's cool.
Out them against the game, and that's him using his incredible brain, really.
And he's quite an intelligent guy. Like let's not muck around. He is a very, very incredible fella. And like you can imagine, if he gets sort of that main one, the things he's gonna do to him, like, he's gonna be like, shit. I wish I never poked the stick at the bear type thing, because like he can make, and like he says it, like he can make a Marine last for ages, and like put him through so much pain, and like he can keep him alive and just put him through so much pain, and then just keep you going until like you give him what he needs, and that's just crazy. Like he's just like, oh, mate, if you
he has the ability to make or break any legion. That's the truth of the matter. He can single-handedly handle. He could drop a whole legion if he put his mind to it. With everything he knows, he could drop an entire legion.
Well, let's take it some of the rest of the war gear that he possesses. So you got the Null Rod, which inflicts like the ultimate pain. Like just a touch of the Null Rod can just render anything any Marine. It can just render him like out flat. And then you've got the the needle gun.
Yeah, isn't that Yeah. So it's an elder needle gun though, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure. I thought it had something to do with being elder. It was a Xenos. It was. I think it's a Xenos.
I don't. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. Let me have a look at my notes. It's definitely not a Marine. It's not a Marine gun. Was it? It's the. Wow. I always used to call it the Needler, but it's the X-Close. I can't even say it.
X-Colossus Needler.
X-Colossus.
I'm looking at the stats. I mean, I'm looking at the stats in the book for it. It's a shame that I really hope with this new model they bring him a whole new set of rules, because in this he is just pants. I mean, let's get back to actual playing 40k, not just the fluff. His stats in the book are he's got weapon skill 2, which is fine.
Well, look,
skill 3.
Let's bring up the old model. So by magic, I'm going to make him appear on screen. So this is the old Fabius. As you can see from the picture, he's got the old Needler gun, but no, it's not. If you're looking by the picture, that's not Elder Tech. That's his own creation. And like if you go by some of the fluff on it, if you get hit by this, it basically what's it say?
Basically, does it liquefy you inside or something?
No. So the serum. The serum in the battlefield conditions, it fires thin, latest correction, small scratch, can induce terrifying, torture. It basically tortures you, causes a living being to mutate uncontrollably, and even cause the victim to combust.
Sounds like fun.
And I suppose in a way that's probably how he's enhancing the guys, because like one of his old rules where you used to roll a dice and on one, like a guy dies. And I think that probably is still the same now. That causes a mortal wound.
Got the rules here. So basically, any heretic starting model or infantry model, but not a character. This is what I hate, because it basically states on here that a character would never be so stupid, but to accept the hand of Fabius Bile, because they know that his concoction could kill them. But that's rubbish. I hate it. And you roll a d3, and on a 1 you get +1 strength, on a 2 you get +1 toughness, and on 3 you get a +1 attack. Now I think this is only to one model as well, so it, as competitive or even tabletop wise, it's useless. The chance that you could just kill one of your unit and then only one of these guys getting this benefit, it's like, what's the point?
Is it one unit? I thought it was the unit that got it.
Model.
I'm pretty sure it was the unit that got it. It wouldn't make sense if just one model got it. Made you think, hey now. I'm pretty sure it's the unit itself that actually gets the benefits. But this is the thing, like with Fabius, because of the rule set at the moment, he's not a viable character to actually bring on the tabletop. He's not.
No.
You can't play him competitively enough to
No.
make him work, and it's a shame because he's a badass character, but you just can't make the fella do what he needs to do, which is a shame. But like if you played a fluffy game, it's he'll work. You can make him work, and he'd be absolutely cool. But you just can't make him in a competitive game. Well, I'm pretty sure someone could make him work, but you'd never see him on a competitive battlefield, and it's a shame. And that's the one thing I don't like about 40k. Like some of the cool characters, some of the cool units, you never really get to see them on the tabletops. Like the baddest of baddest characters, you never see them on there because they just don't. The rules have just never been written well enough for them.
He's Emperor's Children. Now, ultimately, we all know he is an absolute beast in all of the fluff. But tabletop, would you bring him? No, because he's too expensive for what he does. I think the customization options as well, making your own, it's a lot stronger than what you can normally do by bringing a named character. But you've got things like Khan the Betrayer. I mean, this is only going through the Chaos Codex. There's so many named characters that you just don't see. I mean, even with all the new Space Marine books that have come out recently, there's not been a decent character that you go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, he's actually worth bringing.
No, and that's the thing. At the moment, current stats, he's not great at all. He's hitting on twos, hitting on twos in combat, shooting on threes, strength 5, only T4, 6 attacks, only 5 wounds. So he's
attacks is nice. So 7 attacks when he charges, but when are you ever going to get someone with a 6-inch move up the table to get into do close combat? And his close combat itself isn't actually that good. So it's strength user, which is strength 4 minus 1
strength
D3
5.
damage.
Strength 5.
No. Yeah, strength 5. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So strength 5. Okay. So yeah, he's probably pretty tasty at killing Marines.
Yeah.
That might work. And on the bonus side, he does heal D3 wounds as well. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, okay. So on that side, he if he does survive, he can regenerate some of his wounds back. And like the bonus, it is to the unit. It's not to the one model. It's to the actual unit itself, which is good.
That could actually work. I know we've gone off subject of narrative here, but that could work if you bring just standard Heraclistates, the Corsair models, Red Corsairs. You can bring a unit of 20 Marines. Okay, so you're going to get the bonus for out of all the Vigilus books and that they get extra command points for bringing more Marines, etc. I think it's every 5 Marines you get extra command points. So if you did that, you could bring Fabius Bile. You could then theoretically boost them up so they all get toughness. So they go toughness 5. So a bunch of toughness.
You've got to roll for it. It's D3. It's random.
Yeah. So I mean, any of those could be useful with them, because if you give them all close combat weapons and then just charge them in, just drop a bomb.
Yeah.
That could be quite useful. And then being Red Corsairs as well, once they go down to like 1 guy left, you pay, was it 2 command points, I think it is, and you can bring the whole blob back. So it's just
I suppose you got on that. But the beautiful thing about Fabius Bile, he no longer has the Emperor's Children keyword, so he can be a HQ choice for pretty much any of the different factions.
Yeah, which is good.
That's brilliant on its own. But look, so we've got the old model, so you can see the old model on the screen, and then the new model, boom. So straight away, there's a massive, great difference between the old to the new. The new is looking sweet. It's looking more. It makes him look more fresh. Still got that fantastic pose, holding the stick, the knoll rod. He's got the needle gun down, but they made the paint job on the new one is absolutely friggin' awesome. But what I'm trying to get on this one is, even though he's a Chaos HQ, and you can see that he hasn't adopted any of the Chaos traits, he hasn't changed any of his physical. He doesn't look no different. He's still a cool Marine. Now, what I would like to see from Games Workshop, now, the model itself is whether or not the model itself is going to be Primaris? Because we know he's been like trying to get out of.
He's been on Primaris Marines, hasn't he? So in the fluff, he has been testing on Primaris Marines to make a Chaos strand of Primaris. So theoretically, he could just put it into one of his new clones. So you might see him. I don't think he'll be Primaris. I think he'll just be a beefed up version of himself with better abilities. But what I'm interested on is the little fella that followed him, because ultimately you know that he's just going to be a buffing model. So he's going to buff very much the same as the Dark Apostle has the little minions following them.
But you see him stealing a Marine, a Primaris gene seed.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about it. Like, we have gone off topic a little bit on the whole thing, but if we go back to the fluff side of things, the last battle we really see Fabius Bile take place in, he's been called back to his home planet, where Eidolon himself is called Fabius back. Now, what's the cool thing about what was Eidolon promising?
Isn't that in the you mean in the book of the Clone Lord?
Yeah.
He calls him back. Have you listened to the whole book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he calls him back halfway through the book.
Yeah. And so Fabius Bile goes back to the homeworld, right?
Yeah.
So he goes back to the homeworld, and like Eidolon wants him to rebuild the army, does he? But he talks about there's a whole ship of untainted gene seed. So you got so you've basically told someone that's a perfectionist that there's a whole ship, a lost ship with pure Emperor's Children gene seed, and obviously Eidolon wants new Marines, great, but Fabius is never going to give him what he wants, right?
Not without some sort of something that benefits him.
Oh, and that's the beautiful thing about it. But like this is
that in the book, doesn't it? It says that his plans are to take the gene seed himself.
Yes, and like spoiler alert, that's it's one of the things that he's after is the gene seed for himself, because there's no way that he's seen what the Legion has come to, and he knows that the Legion, the Marines themselves are
finished.
Pretty much, they've just gone to the next extreme of just like bonkers. They are your. I was going to drop names, but it's just like I don't want to reference any other program to this. I had two names that would just been like boom, but we're not going to go there. But yeah, look, they are the proper nut jobs. But while he's on the home planet, he goes back down to he sees his old creations, and like he gets lured back down to his laboratory, doesn't he?
He does.
What does he find in that laboratory? That's it.
Well, they've been caretaking something in an old stasis chamber that he created, and that was a clone of a certain young Primarch.
And it's not like any Primarch. This is like the perfection of Primarchs. Now he's basically stumbled back on because like he's thought all his clones are perished, dead. As he's turned up, you got this big.
Did we touch on how the Emperor's Children planet got destroyed in the first place?
No, we didn't.
We did not. So before we get ahead of ourselves, we should probably say why his Apothecarium was destroyed and why the Legion was in, because they were the most powerful Legion in the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
The only Legion that stayed united and the strongest. And the reason for that was because the Emperor's Children and their perfection. But which young lord decided that it would be good to destroy their whole planet?
Well, this is the thing. It's like, yeah, you're right, because this is crucial stuff. So we all know that, spoiler alert, Horus is dead. Horus died on the Eye of Terror. He had daddy issues. He dropped his guard. Daddy spanked him over his knee, and he's dead. He's dead as a doornail. But
Daddy only just beat him though, because thanks to what's his face, Sanguinius. Sanguinius mortally wounded Horus, didn't he?
I'm not at this present moment in time, I couldn't tell you.
Well, the story keeps changing, but
It does keep changing because, like, the story originally was Horus was killed by the Emperor. His soul, spirit, and mind is destroyed forever. Like, can't come back, never come back. It just keeps changing, and it's just like so hard to keep up with GW's fluff. We could write our own fluff after it. Yeah, well, Horus didn't actually really die. He just like curled up in a little ball and went into hibernation, and then just like a little Morphe come out as a massive great demon prince. Never happened. Anyway, so the remains of Horus. It's he's got like as a cult on the ship, on the Vengeful Spirit, and they got the remains of Horus, and they've got this cult that's worshipping basically a dead body, which is a bit weird. Fabius has got all the remains, and he's created Horus. He's pretty much created all the Primarchs, as we said. You know, he's created Ferris, but he's created Horus. Horus has got all the war gear of Horus from the original body. He's got the claw. He's got the claw. He's got the mallet. I was going to say the sword, but he didn't actually have the sword. It was Ezekiel got the sword himself from a demon world. But that's something we can talk about another time because there's some cool stuff on that.
He's got a whole story to play. He's brilliant.
Cut a long story short, someone's got little daddy issues. Realised that someone's been mucking around with daddy jeans. He's gone over, knocks on the door, found that daddy's mysteriously back. Well, he didn't knock on the door. He kind of like let himself in, didn't he? Really?
Well, no. Abaddon, the way he destroyed the Emperor's children, he launched a ship into them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. There's some proper daddy issues going on there. There's some proper daddy issues going on there. Like I'm throwing all the I can't play with this toy. You're not playing with this toy, so I'm gonna just chuck the fucking. I'm gonna chuck the box at you.
Come back, did he? Abaddon didn't want Horus to come back because I know we're touching on Abaddon. He didn't want Horus back because he felt betrayed by Horus. They all felt betrayed by Horus because Horus technically used all the legions so he did what he wanted.
Yes.
And that was the throne. But obviously he didn't get that. So in Abaddon's eyes, Horus failed, and that was it. That you used us, you lied to us, and you don't deserve us, and that's why he actually destroyed the Emperor's children, because he found out that they were creating another Horus. So it was like, right, that's not going to happen. I'm just going to launch this ship into you.
I'm the bad boy, not you, mate. Yeah. But in any,
what I'm trying to think of the Thousand Sons name that used his psychic powers to pull the ship along behind the Vengeful Spirit. Something Kane.
No, it's oh God, you've now got me.
He's like one of Abaddon's first.
He's that sort of mate. It's just going to drive me crazy. We'll talk about him another time because there's so much cool stuff about him, like how he ends up.
So obviously. So they launched the ship into it, and obviously that's where he thought all of his creations. Because in his laboratory, he did have a tube for each of the Primarchs, didn't he?
Yes.
He created every single Primarch, and as you was rightly saying, he went down into the thing where his old mutant creations had been caretaking and feeding this tube power or whatever they were doing to try and sustain it, to keep it alive. And in that it was Fulgrim. And then he ended up taking it back to the ship, didn't he?
But this is the interesting thing about it, because like as he turns up, it was like it was fate that he would turn up the same time that the power cells start failing upon the tube, and then like the cylinder basically goes, is it murky black or something happens to the liquid? It starts going. Fabius starts walking away, and then just like out of instinct, he just turns around, cracks the tube, and then he just finds this perfect baby, like not tainted by chaos. Like, considering they are in the Eye of Terror, and he's not basically gone away and gone like, oh okay, like he's gone chaos. He sees the perfect baby. He sees Fulgrim for what he was, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, and then that's what gave Fabius hope through the whole of the book. It does go on about how he sees Fulgrim because he starts raising them on the ship, doesn't he? But in secret, because obviously he has Emperor's children on the ship, and he didn't want anyone knowing about Fulgrim because they would all fall back into line and follow Fulgrim, and that's what he didn't want. And ultimately, he almost went back on himself with, his creation, and his plan was to create the new human race, and they were going to be the successors to everyone. But after finding Fulgrim on the planet, he was almost doubting himself, and he then started thinking, actually, am I doing this right? Should we be following Fulgrim? And it was that self-doubt because of the aura that Fulgrim gave off. Even as a young Fulgrim, a perfect Fulgrim, completely perfect. And I can't emphasize on that enough. It was a complete, perfect clone. And then, so through the book, as I say, he sort of goes on about how he's training him and teaching him. And I think there was one other person that knew that Fulgrim was on there at the time. It was his superhuman woman, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But he talks about how Fulgrim, the clone of Fulgrim, goes around the ship like unnoticeable and like no one.
But who does he talk to though? He talks to the rat things, doesn't he? He starts making friends with the rats and becomes their almost leader on the ship, and he talks to them, and when no one else can talk to them, but he can. He learns their language because he's a Primarch, and they're awesome.
He's a Venetian. He's like near enough perfect. Like, he's the best. He
is perfect.
He is perfect. He's like the best of the best of the best. But like this is where the story goes. Like, so Fabius is then going off seeking out this ship for the pure gene seed, but it happens to be occupied by the Necrons.
It's not occupied, is it? It's being held by Necrons.
Well, the same things, same dog, different ears. The Necrons have got their eye on it. They. So basically, he's turned up with this ship. He's coming for the gene seed. They've got this big ass battle going on with the Necrons and them, and then lo and behold, who turns up? Other than
no, it doesn't turn up.
No, not Fulgrim.
Yeah, but on the Necron planet, you kind of didn't say what it was there.
Go on.
The whole Necron place is a giant library of history. So it is literally it states in the book as well that there's entire battle scenes of entire companies of Space Marines versus Chaos Marines stuck in complete stasis, but they're alive and they can see what's happening, but they can't physically move. It's just a complete standstill of a battle. And there's countless things. It's like a giant museum of living things. And then the Necron that I'll let you give the name, the Necron that sort of, in other words, is the caretaker looking after it. And it's fantastic. So I'll let you carry on now. I'll just
No. You keep going, son. You keep going because it's cool, man. This is the thing. This is what I love about it. I'm just googling it now. Necron who has.
Oh, don't say it because you're going to ruin it. So the Necrons, begins with T, the Infinite, whatever his name is, TRZYN, Taheen, the Infinite. He's the librarian basically, and he likes to collect things, and he talks to Fulgrim in that and relates to Fulgrim in the sense that he likes to collect things. Trizan, that's it. They both like to collect things, and again, he relates to the whole thing like I said at the start, where he uploads his subconscious to pushing a little button on his wristband. I'm talking about Fabius. Well, he knew about it. He knew everything about it. He knew everything that was going on. He lured Fulgrim there because he wanted Fulgrim to be part of his library, and that was the whole thing was all a trap. And now he knew about the whole thing on his arm as well. So basically, he said that don't bother trying to upload yourself with the little wiki cloud, whatever you want to call it, because I've switched it off. I've put a thing around the planet. You can't physically do it, and that's what scared Fulgrim. Fabius.
We see this. How I understood it was that he strikes a deal with him to give him a clone.
Yes, so that's so because he doesn't want to lose the information of everything that he's learned because he's not updated it.
Yeah. Because he can't.
If he got stuck there, he would be a clone would be born, be remade of him, but it would be an old version. So like, it's like going back to Windows 98 sort of thing, and not that far, but you know.
Wow, there's some generations missed there, Grant. There's some proper generations since '98. I'm gonna let you know we've had some cool Windows out. Probably none of them worked, but
they're definitely not Windows Vista.
Yeah, anyway, that was terrible. But so that's the thing. So as I understand it, he strikes that deal with Trizan.
So he said, "I'll give you a perfect clone," but that both enraged and made him feel sick because the thought of letting even a clone of himself, but another version of him that would be strived to greatness, being locked in a still motion, it infuriated him. But he agreed to it, and then we
had no choice. This is the thing. He wants the gene seed, so he has no choice in this. He has to make that ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
But this is the thing. Like, why he's down in the Necron homeworld doing this deal? There's something going on in the ship.
There is a revolt, isn't there? There's a coup on the ship with the Emperor's children that were already on the ship. So the rest of the company that was originally on the ship throughout the story, and the new lot that had come as well, they basically started trying to take over the ship because they wanted all of Fabius's goodies, and they wanted to completely wipe out his whole council, I suppose is the only way to describe it, because it's got all of these main fellas on the ship and everything. They think by taking over the ship they can stop him, but they can't because the guy's everywhere.
You're not going to stop Fabius. That's impossible.
You could kill him 1,000 times and there'd still be more of him. But they start taking over the ship, and then as they're taking over the ship, it's his superhumans that are fighting back and surprisingly killing them off quite quickly. But then it is the Fulgrim, isn't it, that leads the revolution on the ship, leads the resistance. I would say it's a defense, but it's not. It's a lot more of an offense that Fulgrim started, because he made his own armor in it as well, didn't he? Out of shoddy materials, made himself just like a giant cleaver out of like a piece of metal, and just started carving through all the Emperor's children with relative ease.
But this is the beautiful thing about it, because obviously he goes back to the ship.
Yeah.
He goes back to the ship. He's seen what's happened, and like out of pure rage that not the fact that Fulgrim has done what he's done, but the fact that what he's in pure rage at, because these Emperor's children now that have gone like the chaos side of them, that have got all the mutations, they've kind of like, oh, it's Fulgrim, like it's the true Phoenician, like they're all in awe and they want to do everything they can for him. Like they're getting, what's the word? They're in love with him, like
they're falling back in, and that's as you're saying, that's what scares Fabius.
Yeah, he doesn't like that.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't want them to do what they've done before. He doesn't want them to just follow aimlessly after a Primarch. And then what enraged him more is that his humans did it as well. And his favourite one got shot, didn't she? She jumped in front of a bullet to save Fulgrim, and that was it. No.
And that's what broke his heart. But it didn't break his heart, because he doesn't have a heart to break. But he's just like, turns around to Trizan, like, yeah, deal's changed. You're not having a clone of me, but you're having Fulgrim.
And he goes, you can take all these other lot as well, all the ones that were against him, didn't he? All the Emperor's children that started the rebellion.
I think they just went anywhere. I just think because they were so like Fabius can't let the Legion know that there's a pure Fulgrim about.
No,
So that's
no.
where, Trizan have just like, he's got a better deal. He's like, oh, okay, I've got the shoddy spider, or I can have a
Primarch.
pure, a Primarch. And what's a better prize?
And that's what makes him
A
change the deal.
skanky old man that's dying of some form of cancer, or an awesome shiny Primarch with beautiful white hair, perfect physique, the badass like fighter like strives perfection, and a bunch of cool little.
Mankind's greatest achievement, isn't it? So to go into his collection, into his library, that was the greatest thing. I mean, to be honest, a lot of people are going to be shocked to learn there is a perfect kind of Fulgrim, and it is being controlled by a Necron. It is completely owned by a Necron now, but that's the great thing. That's what Games Workshop could do. I mean, they could say that because Fulgrim is just so damn awesome.
Look, I'd love Games Workshop to pull their thumb out of their backsides, bring all the Primarchs back sooner, because like they're just drip feeding us too slow. I hate that. I hate the fact that we've had 3 Primarchs so far.
We've had 3 quite quickly, didn't they? They gave us Magnus, Mortarion,
and that's it.
And they go, oh yeah, we're gonna alternate. We're gonna give you another.
But the thing is, I know 100% that Fulgrim is made, and he's been play tested. I know it.
Which version? Is it Fulgrim, or is it, perfect Fulgrim, or is it the big snake fella Fulgrim?
It's going to be the snake fella.
So I don't want it to be the snake.
I've just heard so many rumours that there is a perfect Fulgrim out. Not the perfect. He's not the clone one, but the snake Fulgrim is coming. But like, I would love Games Workshop to drop a proper loyal Primarch first.
I would like it, but I think
this would have been the perfect opportunity to see Russ to return back to the field.
They should have done it in Saga of the Beasts. I'm sorry that
you could have had like the battle with Gazgol fighting off bloody the Russ, like the rift is opened up or something's happened. Russ is coming out. Gazgol's gone for the Y. He's seen like the perfect fight, and he's like charging down, grabs sort of Russ by the neck, and then Russ is just like slapped him around because he's been in the water for so long. He's now tainted with the Wolfen. Russ is now beasted up. He's got
it's narrative though. I think because I think to keep it narrative, you would have to do a log with Chaos and Space Wolves, because he went into the Eye of Terror chasing Chaos. So
no, you're right. But what I'm saying is, for him to come back, you're right. Like we've got big release coming out of the summer, and I'm praying that they talk about doing 9th, buff up some of the rules, and like we see a cool box set where we see another Primarch, but I don't want another Chaos one. And this is a selfish reason on this. Yes, I would love to see the loyal Fulgrim, the Chaos Fulgrim come, but what I'd like to see, because every time you get a Primarch, he's the baddest, the bestest thing on the things. Like Gilliman come out, Magnus first of all, he was the baddest thing on the tabletop. Then you had Gilliman. Gilliman and Magnus were 2 awesome. Gilly gave all the buffs. Magnus just a beat stick. And I don't want that. That was cool. But then as soon as you had Mortarion, you had this other next big beat stick. And then like GW knock him down and like, you're Chaos. But old Gilly is still a good old character. He's a good old boy that's still fighting. But what I'm trying to get at is, I want it to be a pure Primarch followed by another Chaos one.
Yeah, it would be nice that way. They keep it in, one loyal, one Chaos. But I think if they did it at the moment with loyals, with how powerful Marines are, I mean, I know we've seen a slight shift in meta with Grey Knights and with Tau, aren't they?
I'm not saying I broke the meta. No, it's not. I didn't break the meta. It's just the old meta.
I think it would be. I don't know if it would be too overpowered to print something right now for Marines, because they're already still so strong. Whereas Chaos aren't. Chaos are still not. When do you see them on the top table? It's very rare. I know people going, "Oh, there's the play possessed bomb, etc., etc." Yes, awesome, but
I suppose for myself, I'd like to see some of the fluff. Like, even if we don't have the models, I want to see the storyline start carrying on, like start pushing forward. I want to start seeing the new, the battle of like the Primarch starting to come, coming through and like start to, because they talk about Fulgrim still being about. They talk about Perturabo. They're talking about Angron. I think Angron's going to be an absolute beast when he actually drops. I think he's going to be.
I heard that Angron was supposed to be the next one coming, but again, I don't know how true that is. It's a bit of a weird one because there was a lot of talk that Angron was going to be the next one, but then it's like
I don't know. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. But look, in a nutshell, hopefully we're going to see another Primarch soon, just so we can get some of that fluff and that coolness. And I love the fluff. There's no shadow of doubt. I love fluff, and I love the storyline. I love everything about it. But look, I think we've been chatting for quite some time. Like, cut a long story short, Fabius is the best apothecary I think on the battlefield. Like, in what he does, he's the best of the best, and like creating clones, perfecting any legion, bringing it up to their, to where they need to be. I think we need to do, once we get that model come, as soon as we get the Fabius Bile model come, I think what we need to do for the channel, we need to get him painted up. So we'll do a little painting tutorial on how I will paint the Fabius Bile. I'm not going to say that. We're not going to say Grant, because we've seen Grant's painting skills, and it's like
they're improving.
I'm going to teach you. No, I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying I'm a golden demon painter or anything like that. But I would like to see, like, we want to have a real awesome Fabius Bile, but we want them to. We're going to do like a cool battle report, which is not going to be. It's not going to be like the over the top competitiveness. Or what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and make an army that suits the Emperor's Children, their playstyle. Yeah. And then we'll get an elder army. I'll tell you what, I was going to say Harlequins, but I think the Harlequins would absolutely, with their rule set, I think they would just absolutely annihilate. Unless there's something really, really cool coming out of the new book, I think Harlequins will absolutely hammer the the Emperor's Children. But let's put something together. Once that model comes, we'll put something in. But look, drop some comments down below, because that battle report is going to happen as soon as that book drops. But put some comments down below on what army you want to see go head to head with the Emperor's Children. That would be a cool thing. We're going to be talking about, we've got a couple more things in the pipeline. So today we've got Grant, we're talking about Fabius. In the next couple of videos, we're going to be talking about Mephiston with Danny. We're going to have Franco on. We're going to go all through the fluff with Araman. So we've got some really, really cool stuff lined up in regards to the fluff wise. But if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps us out massively. But this is where we're going to say goodbye. This is where we're going to say goodbye, aren't we, Grant? Because we've talked and talked.
Because otherwise we'd just be ranting on for hours.
And that's the thing. We can talk, but we've got to be mindful and like people's time. If you do like, on a serious note, if you do like what we've done, please do hit that like and subscribe. It helps us massively. Down at the bottom of the page, we've got the link for our Patreon if you want to be cool and support us a little bit more. By supporting us on Patreon, it helps us do a lot of cool stuff within the channel. All the support can be, is really, really helpful, and we really do appreciate it. Anyway, nothing more to say. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and hopefully we'll catch you all again on the next cool fluff report and the next battle report once we come out of isolation. So thanks again, and we'll catch you all again.